Welcome back, Bruins. We had a little bit of technology difficulty there. My camera died, but here we go. I'll pick up right with bugs and birds return. Bugs and birds return. After the mountain erupted, scientists set special kinds of traps. The traps measured the amount of seeds that the wind blew into the blast zone. Spiders were also collected in the traps. Thousands of spiders arrived, carried by the wind on their long webs. Excuse me. The spiders became food for the mountain bluebirds and northern flickers that had already returned to the area. The birds built their nests inside the splintered trees. Here's a picture of researchers checking a trap for seeds and spiders. Hummingbirds, attracted by the fireweed flowers, soon flew into the blast zone. They even darted down at the scientists working in the volcano's crater. Perhaps they thought the scientists' colored safety suits were bright flowers. Here's a picture of the men in their bright suits working up in the blast zone. So you can see how the hummingbirds might have mistaken them for flowers. Big flowers. Trees and large animals return. Before Mount St. Helens erupted, the forest trees were mostly evergreens, such as Douglas fir, hemlock, and Pacific silver fir. Some of these trees were more than 300 years old. After the wildflowers and bushes appeared, many trees began to grow too. The first trees to grow were broadleaf trees such as alder and cottonwood. Later, new evergreen trees began to grow in the blast zone. Here's a picture of some fir trees beginning to grow in the blast zone, and the caption says, "It will take hundreds of years for them to reach the size of the trees that were destroyed." Eventually, bear, deer, and elk began to wander back into the blast zone. Some of the elk gave birth to more calves than they usually do. It was nature's way of speeding up the renewal of the elk that were killed after the volcano's eruption. Elk were among the first large animals to return to the blast zone. As the big animals wandered through the blast zone, they left tracks in the ash. More wind-blown seeds collected in the tracks. When the seeds sprouted, the tracks became miniature flower pots for the new plants. So this picture is an elk track, an elk footprint, and you can see how the seeds collected right inside of that footprint. What a cool thing. Exploring the monument. Each year since 1980, Mount St. Helens National Volcanic Monument looks different from the way it looked the year before. Every spring, more wildflowers bloom. The trees and bushes grow taller, and new seedlings sprout. Sorry, checking my microphone. Deer and elk wander through the blast zone. They feed on tender branches of the young trees. Once in a while, bears are seen eating huckleberries. Here's a bear wandering through the newly growing trees and shrubs of the blast zone. Scientists thought that it would take many years for life to return to the blast zone, but it has returned much more quickly than they expected. Today, you and your family can drive on a new highway to see this volcanic monument. The highway is about 50 miles long. From 2 visitor centers near the highway's end, you can look across the avalanche and into the crater of Mount St. Helens. Inside the crater, steam still rises from a mound of rock called a lava dome. The dome is made from molten rock. The rock cooled after oozing up into the crater from beneath the Earth's surface. The lava dome formed after the main eruption in 1980. For years, the dome grew higher. It's now almost 1,000 feet high. So here's a picture of the views from the visitor center of the mountain. And then here's a picture of inside of the mountain. You can see that lava dome. From the visitor centers, rangers guide visitors along the trails. The rangers explain how nature is renewing the blast zone. You can also find out what the scientists are learning. Other visitor centers along the new highway describe a different part of the story of Mount St. Helens. One of the centers shows what a forest products company did after the volcano erupted. The company collected many of the fallen trees on its lands outside the monument. The trees were cut to make enough lumber to build 85,000 houses. Next, the company planted 18 million seedlings on the 45,000 acres of land. The road to the monument now takes visitors through this new forest. So here's a picture of the rangers teaching people at the monument, and then another picture of one of those people planting those seeds for the new trees to grow. And I'll tell you, that forest that you drive through is beautiful. There are other roads that lead to different areas of Mount St. Helens National Volcanic Monument. The monument also has more than 150 miles of trails. If you hike through the monument, wear sturdy, comfortable shoes, carry water, and use sunscreen. Be sure to hike only on the marked trails. It's important that visitors do not disturb the plants and animals. That way, scientists can continue to learn how long it takes life to return to the blast zone after a volcano erupts. And you'll be helping other hikers to enjoy the beauty they've seen. So the last picture I have to show you is the visitors climbing a sand ladder trail to keep them from disturbing the plants and animals. And then also one of the signs that they have to remind people to stay on the trails and don't trample on the plants. So boys and girls, that was Mount St. Helens National Volcanic Monument on this 40th anniversary of the eruption of Mount St. Helens. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed learning all about Mount St. Helens and that you get to go and visit those visitor centers. Bye, boys and girls.